Hi everybody from here on Wall Street in New York. Welcome to my channel. My name is Natalie. So last week one of our commercial real estate agents left the company because he said that he wanted to make quick money very fast. And this inspired me to make this video and tell you about the 7 most common myths about working in real estate. This video will be very useful for people who are already working in real estate as brokers or just thinking about going into this industry. Why am I qualified to talk about this? Well, I've been the director of capital markets for DTZ and Colliers International, which are the largest real estate companies in the world. And I've sold about $750 million of real estate in cities including London and New York. So let's go. Point number 1. I'm very smart, so I'm going to make a big deal very quickly. This is a big miss because the truth is nobody knows and nobody can predict, even your bosses, how soon you're going to make a deal. It can take you anywhere from a couple of months to 2 years. Yes, you've heard me right, up to 2 years. I've seen very talented people. One guy, he was even in the movie with Angelina Jolie. He was so good at the phones. Still, for 1 year, he was on the phone talking to the sellers and the buyers, and he couldn't make a deal. At the same time, I've seen people that just came into the job and in 1 month or 6 weeks they were able to sign a deal. The process is, first you have to canvas and find for the real seller, and that can take you anywhere from 1 day to several months. After that you negotiate the deal terms, which can take you several weeks, and after that you negotiate the contract, and then you close, which can take you again up to 3 months. So signing your first deal can take you anywhere from 1 month to 2 years. Number 2, I'm going to make $250,000 in my first year as a real estate broker. This is the number that goes around in the market, and this is what the owners of real estate companies tell you to lure you into the business. But the reality is, going back to the myth number 1, which I said you can make anywhere from 0 to, yes, maybe $250,000, because it all depends on luck and how hard you work. But generally, real estate industry is the best industry to be in if you want to be making consistently good numbers, anywhere starting from $200,000 to $300,000-$400,000 a year, the medium to long term. But it's the worst industry to be in if your goal is to be consistently making $100,000 a year, because there are other industries where you can make that money easier. Myth number 3. I need to have lots of connections to be very successful in real estate. Well, yes and no. Of course, if you have lots of connections, that helps, and people can feed you pocket deals, off-market deals, and you have easier time working with buyers and closing those deals. But the truth is that the real estate market has such little loyalty, and it's so easy to build those contacts if you are talking sense, if you are bringing to the buyers right real deals. So don't be afraid if you don't have any connections. Work hard. Don't spam the buyers with unrealistic overpriced deals, and you will be able to build those relationships. Point number 4. I should be working only with sellers or buyers to make lots of money, so I should be very focused. Well, that's a myth, and it's not true, because you need to understand how sellers think, and you also need to understand why buyers buy certain types of properties. So you need to work with buyers and need to work both sides. Of course, when you're starting out, you should go and canvas and learn the market the rough way, but you should start working with the buyers as soon as possible, because you will get into the business of doing business much faster. Ideally, the process of sales will look at first generating leads, or maybe even outsourcing lead generation, preparing the cold calling lists and talking points, like how much the property is worth, what people own, what they have recently sold, etc., then making the calls and talking with people, making calls, emailing, leaving voicemails, as many touch points as possible with every seller. And after you have real qualifiable deals, then you should close the deals. So once again, you should try and work both with the sellers and the buyers to be successful. Myth number 5. It doesn't matter what asset class or territory I'm focusing on. New York is such a big market, I'm going to make lots of money. That's a big mistake, because New York is a very huge real estate market, but also very competitive. There are about 30 to 40,000 brokers that will be competing with you. So you have to be very careful and strategic about where you want to work and build relationships with the sellers and the buyers. Because competition is the opposite of capitalism or capital accumulation. You should find niches or asset classes which are in high demand, so high volume but low competition. Currently, for example, Brooklyn is very competitive, Manhattan is very competitive and expensive. So I would look to areas like Bronx, which is not yet very competitive, and there are very few brokers that are experts in this territory. And maybe in terms of the asset classes, I will look at medical buildings, because again, the volume and demand for those properties is very high, but there are very few brokers that focus on them. Myth number 6. A good salesperson is someone that can convert a firm no into yes. No, this is again a very big mistake, which is preached very actively by Wolf of Wall Street. I'm sure that you've seen the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio about that guy. So the best salesperson is someone that can identify very clearly a firm no, a seller that is not motivated to sell, or a buyer that is not motivated to buy, and will not waste time on this person. And someone that will find a person who is hesitating, or ideal situation, a willing seller and a willing buyer, and focus your energy on those people. So the best salesperson is the one that can sift through all unrealistic pricing expectations, unrealistic sellers, and focus on those people that are interested in selling and motivated in selling. For example, we split leads into 3 categories. The first category are the sellers that are motivated to sell, and the asking price is pretty much within the market, 10, 15, maybe 20%, not more above what the properties are going for in the neighborhood. The second category are the sellers that are willing to sell. They're talking to you, they're giving you all the information, so they want to sell, but their asking prices are way too high for where the market is right now. So with those people, you want to put them on the slow burner and just getting back in touch with them every couple weeks to see where they are. Because when you're several years into the career, you will see it happen very often that you've been speaking with someone, they wanted, for example, $10 million for their property, and you said, oh, this is too expensive. And then 6 months later, you open the transfer cards and you see that they've sold for $6.5, $7 million. And you were like, oh, wow, why did this happen? So always make sure to go back to anybody that said that, yes, I'm selling, but their asking price is too high. So this is your category 2 in terms of the leads. And the third category of the leads is people that say, yes, maybe call me maybe like in a couple months or something. So there you understand that definitely there is something happening, the person is thinking about selling, and you should definitely stay in touch with them. Ask for their email, maybe during this time while they're making up their mind. Send them emails about the deals that you're doing, about the neighborhood alerts, etc. So build your presence and build your brand in front of them. So once again, split your leads into 3 categories. Myth number 7. And this is a bonus point. So what are real estate companies not telling you? They're not telling you many things, and among them is number 1 is that they're not telling you that the brand in real estate, the company brand, is not that important. Why is that? Because as I said before, the market is very competitive, and that's why the loyalty in the market is very, very low in terms of the sellers and the buyers. People work with whichever broker brings them good buyers or sellers, good deals, etc. So, but real estate companies, they try to influence and tell you that people are picking up phones only because you're working for such and such a company. No, once again, as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you're good on the phones, you're bringing buyers good deals, you're bringing sellers real buyers, etc., people will work with you. So again, the company brand is important, but your personal brand and the value you're bringing to your clients is much more important. So start building your personal brand and your personal relationships with the buyers and sellers as soon as possible. Another thing that real estate companies are not telling you is that they're not going to train you and introduce you to the most active players in the market. When they want to recruit you and to lure you in, when they're pitching you to join their team, they say, yes, we're going to train you. And there are very few companies that do, and you're lucky if you're working for one of those companies. But most real estate companies, basically, their model is to hire as many canvassing people, as many brokers as possible, and just survival of the fittest. That's it. So make sure to self-educate as much as possible. Look up on YouTube, find a mentor, mingle and go to the networking events with very active brokers, and you will learn from them. And again, talk to as many sellers and as many buyers as possible, because only experience can help you learn the profession. And last but not least is the fact that real estate companies are not telling you is that the value that the brokers are bringing is actually not so much in negotiating, but actually in matching the sellers with the most likely buyers. Of course, negotiation is very important, and sometimes broker can push the seller or push the buyer, play and make the deal happen. But the real value is in actually matching, because the process from there on is much easier. And going back to the point of what separates the good salesperson from the bad salesperson, the seller is usually fixed. He either wants to sell or he doesn't want to sell. And the buyer, he's also pretty much like fixed, and he wants to buy or he doesn't want to buy. And no matter how good broker you are, if they already fixed in their mindset and there is no motivation for them to transact, there is nothing that you can do or tell them to motivate them to transact. So real estate companies, they justify their big commission splits for senior brokers or for the company themselves by saying that, yes, you're working for such and such brand. It took this broker 30 years to become an overnight success to help you make this deal. This is not true. You cannot over-influence the seller and the buyer if they don't really want to transact. So these were the 7 most common myths about working in real estate. I hope you found this information useful, and if you did, please share and comment, because your likes and comments is the only way for me to understand that you actually enjoyed the information. And of course, share this information with other people in the industry. If you have any more suggestions about the myths that you came across in the industry, again, comment. In my next video, I'm going to tell you about the mistakes of the sales pitch. I had an amazing experience of working with the top salespeople in Amazon, Google, and from Shark Tank, and I'm going to compare how the experiences were of working with those people, those sales team, and how you can use their mistakes and the good things about their pitches to fine-tune your real estate pitch. Once again, my name is Natalia. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.